The stars looked different through Valkyrie eyes. Commander Tekva stood on the bridge of his hunting ship, watching the blue planet spin slowly in the darkness. His forearms crossed over his chitinous chest as he studied the world below. It looked soft, wet, weak. Another easy hunt, his second officer said, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Tekva wasn't so sure. He had led the Valkyrie hunting packs for 30 cycles now. He had seen 17 worlds fall before their ritual blades. Some prey fought well, some died quickly, but all of them followed the old ways. All of them understood honor. The humans were different, their world was strange. The sensor data showed massive scars across the surface, cities that glowed too bright, oceans that churned with artificial structures. And everywhere there were weapons. Not hunting weapons. War weapons. They call themselves humans, the sensor officer reported. They've only left their world a few times. Primitive ships. No real weapons that could threaten us. Tekva watched the planet turn. His instincts, honed through thousands of hunts, whispered warnings he couldn't quite understand. But the ritual was clear. The pack had traveled far. They must issue the challenge. Prepare the message, he ordered. Far below on the blue planet, Captain Jae-Sung Park was drinking his third cup of coffee when the alarm sounded. He set down his mug carefully and walked to the bridge of the UESS Dauntless. His ship was humanity's first real deep space vessel. Not a research pod. Not a mining platform. A military ship with teeth. Captain on deck, Lieutenant Hai-Jin called out, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. Report, Jae-Sung said simply. Unknown vessel in high orbit. Big one, sir. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Hai-Jin pulled up the translation on screen. It's a challenge. Jae-Sung read the message twice. Then a third time. They want single combat? Winner takes Earth? That's what it says, sir. Ensign Tae-Yang looked up from his weapons station. His young face was pale. Can they do that? Just show up and challenge us to a fight? They just did, Jae-Sung said quietly. Dr. Soo-Jin entered the bridge, still wearing her lab coat. The xenobiologist looked tired. She'd been studying the alien transmission for the past hour. I've analyzed their ship and their message. They're called the Valkyrie, hunter species. They've done this before. How many times before? Jae-Sung asked. Soo-Jin's face was grim. 17 documented civilizations. All of them either died or became their slaves. The bridge fell silent. Jae-Sung stared at the tactical display. One alien ship, just one. But it was massive. 5 times the size of the Dauntless, and they were so confident they'd sent their challenge before even checking if humanity could fight back. Get me Admiral Kwan, Jae-Sung said, and someone bring me information on these Valkyrie. Everything we can find. 3 hours later, the picture was clearer and much worse. The Valkyrie were apex predators. They stood 3 meters tall, forearms, natural armor plating, neurotoxic venom in their fangs. They came from a death world where the plants tried to eat you and the weather could kill you in minutes. But worse than their physical advantages was their culture. They lived for the hunt. Not for food. Not for territory. For honor. They traveled between stars looking for worthy prey. When they found intelligent species, they issued challenges. Single combat. Champion versus champion. Why single combat? Tae-Yang asked, studying the records. Why not just attack? Because they're honorable, Soo-Jin said. The word sounded bitter in her mouth. To them, the hunt is sacred. It must follow the old ways. Their champion fights our champion. Winner takes everything. And if we refuse? Hee-Jin asked. Soo-Jin pulled up images. Burned worlds. Dead cities. Then they consider us unworthy. They exterminate the entire species for cowardice. Jae-Sung sat back in his chair. His mind was racing through options. Fight and probably lose. Refuse and definitely die. There had to be another way. Humans were good at finding other ways. What happens if we win? He asked. According to their tradition, they leave and never return. They mark the world as belonging to a worthy species. Soo-Jin paused. But Captain, no one has ever won. The Valkyrie have been hunting for thousands of years. Their champions are undefeated. There's a first time for everything, Jae-Sung said. The communication came directly from Admiral Dong-Hyun Kwan at UNSC headquarters. His face filled the screen, older and weathered from decades of service. Captain Park, I've read your initial report. This is bigger than your ship. Bigger than the fleet. This is about humanity's survival. Yes, sir, Jae-Sung said. What are our orders? We're convening an emergency council. Every nation. Every leader. We have 72 hours to respond. The Admiral leaned forward. But between you and me, Captain, we both know how this will go. We'll argue. We'll debate. And in the end, someone will have to fight that thing. I volunteer, sir. I expected you would. The Admiral almost smiled. But volunteering and winning are different things. These creatures are born killers. You're a ship captain. Good in a fight, but you're not enhanced. No genetic modifications. No combat drugs. You're just human. Just human, Jae-sung repeated. Sir, with respect, humans have been just human for a long time. We made it to the top of our food chain anyway. By being clever. By using tools. By working together. The Admiral shook his head. This challenge requires single combat. One human against one Velkari. No weapons except what you can carry. No backup. No clever tactics, Jae-sung smiled then. It wasn't a happy smile. Sir, they said single combat. They said we can't bring backup. But they never said we had to fight fair. The Admiral stared at him for a long moment. Then he smiled too. What are you thinking, Captain? I'm thinking these Velkari have hunted a lot of species. But I don't think they've ever hunted humans before. I don't think they understand what we are. And what are we, Captain? We're the species that hunted mammoths with pointed sticks. We're the species that looked at wolves and said pets. We're the species that split the atom just to see what would happen, then used it as a weapon. Jae-sung stood up. We're not prey, sir. We're the thing that made all our predators extinct. Far above, on the Velkari hunting ship, Commander Tekva received Earth's response. The humans agreed to the challenge. They would send their champion in 72 hours. Tekva felt a twinge of disappointment. They'd accepted so quickly. Usually primitive species begged for more time, tried to negotiate. These humans seemed almost eager. His champion, Sekthar the Bone Crusher, sharpened his ritual blades. 300 victories. 300 kills. He would add humanity to that count. But as Tekva watched the blue planet turn, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The humans had added one condition to the challenge. Just one. They chose the battlefield and they were smiling when they said it. The war room at UNSC headquarters buzzed with tension. Holographic displays showed the Velkari ship from every angle. Admiral Dong-hyun stood at the head of the table, surrounded by generals, scientists, and politicians who all wanted to talk at once. We should evacuate, one general said. Get as many people off-world as possible. To where? Another snapped. We have 3 colonies. Total population 2 million. Earth has 12 billion. Where exactly do we evacuate them? We should negotiate, a diplomat suggested. Offer them resources, technology, anything but combat. Admiral Dong-hyun slammed his hand on the table. The room fell silent. They don't want resources. They want to hunt. This is their religion, their way of life. We either fight or die. Dr. Sujin stood up. She'd barely slept since the Velkari arrived. Her eyes were red from staring at data screens. I've been studying their biology, their history, their culture. I think I found something. Every eye turned to her. The Velkari are apex predators. They evolved alone at the top of their food chain. No natural enemies. No competition. Sujin pulled up images of the Velkari homeworld. Everything about them is built for hunting. Forearms for grabbing prey, armor for protection, venom for killing. They're perfect hunters. We know this already, the general said impatiently. But here's what they're not, Sujin continued. They're not warriors. They don't understand war. To them, combat is ritual. It's sport. It has rules and honor and tradition. She pulled up human history files, battlefields, trenches, bombed cities. Humans don't hunt. We wage war. When we fight, we don't follow rules. We adapt, we improvise. We do whatever it takes to win. The room was silent as they absorbed this. You're saying we cheat? Captain Jae-sung said from his position near the door. I'm saying we survive, Sujin corrected. The Velkari challenged us to their kind of fight. A duel. But they made a mistake. They let us choose the location. Admiral Dong-hyun's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting we accept their challenge, but we make them fight on our terms, in our environment, by our rules. Sujin smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. They want to hunt? Let's give them one. A human hunt. 2 days later, Captain Jae-sung stood in the training facility beneath UNSC headquarters. Lieutenant Hai-jin was with him, running combat simulations. The holographic Velkari appeared massive, terrifying, built to kill. Again, Jae-sung said. The simulation reset. The holographic Sekthar charged. Forearms reached for him. Fangs gleamed. Jae-sung dodged, struck back, and lasted almost 15 seconds before the simulation killed him. Again, death in 12 seconds. Again, death in 20 seconds. Captain, Hee-jin said gently, this isn't working. In straight combat, you can't beat him. No human can. They're stronger, faster, and have natural weapons. We're outmatched. Then we don't fight straight, Jae-sung said. He pulled up the combat arena specifications. The abandoned Luna mining colony where the fight would take place. Show me the facility layout. Hee-jin pulled up the schematics. Empty corridors. Mining equipment. Ancient life support systems. It's been dead for 20 years. Why did you choose this place? Because it's not dead, Jae-sung said. We just made it look dead. Understanding dawned on Hee-jin's face. The weapons platforms. The hidden systems. They're expecting a duel. One warrior against another. Honor and glory. Jae-sung studied the layout. We're going to give them something else entirely. Meanwhile, on the Velkari ship, Commander Tekva was having doubts. He'd spent the last 2 days studying human files. The more he learned, the more concerned he became. Humans were weak. That was clear. Soft skin, blunt teeth. No natural armor or weapons. They should be prey animals. Easy prey. But the data didn't match. Human history was soaked in blood. They'd fought thousands of wars. Millions of battles. They'd killed each other with rocks, then spears, then bullets, then atomic fire. They'd invented 50 different ways to commit genocide and used most of them. This must be corrupted data, his tactical officer said, studying the same files. No successful species would be this self-destructive. But what if it's real? Tekva asked quietly. Then they're insane. And insanity is weakness. Sekthar will tear their champion apart. Tekva wanted to believe that. Sekthar was the greatest warrior the Velkari had ever produced, undefeated in 300 trials. He'd killed champions from 17 worlds. He was legend made flesh, but humans had legends too. And their legends weren't about honorable hunters. They were about monsters, killers, survivors. Prepare the dropship, Tekva ordered. It's time. The Luna colony looked abandoned from above. Cracked domes, dark corridors. No power signature. Just dead rock and human ruins. Perfect neutral ground, the Velkari thought. No advantages for either side. They were very wrong. Captain Jae-sung suited up in the underground facility. His armor was standard military grade, not enhanced. The rules said no special technology, just what a human could normally carry. The Velkari didn't know that normal human soldiers carried very good equipment. Ensign Tae-yang checked the armor seals. Weapons are loaded. Ammunition at maximum. Medical systems ready. Good, Jae-sung said. He picked up his plasma rifle. Standard issue, nothing special, except it was designed to punch through tank armor at 300 meters. Dr. Sujin approached with a tablet. I've been studying Sekthar's fighting style. He's aggressive, overwhelming. He charges in and uses his size and strength to dominate quickly. That's what I'm counting on, Jae-sung said. Captain. Sujin looked worried. If this doesn't work, if something goes wrong, the Velkari will exterminate Earth. All 12 billion people. Are you sure about this?
Jae-sung thought about his family.
His children. His elderly mother who still lived in Seoul. He thought about every human being on the planet below, going about their lives, unaware that their existence depended on what happened in the next hour. I'm sure, he said. The arena was a large dome in the center of the Luna facility. Jae-sung entered from one side. Through his helmet display, he could see Sekthar entering from the other. The Velkari was enormous. 3 meters of chitinous armor and rippling muscle. 4 arms, each one ending in clawed hands. His mandibles clicked as he sized up the human before him. In Sekthar's mind, this would be over quickly. The human looked tiny in his armor, weak, fragile. One good strike would end it. The signal sounded. The fight began. Sekthar charged just as Sujin predicted. Forearms spread wide to grab and crush. His venom sac swelled, ready to inject poison. His ritual blades gleamed in the Luna sunlight. He expected the human to dodge, to run, to make it a chase, a real hunt. Jae-sung stood his ground, raised his rifle, and shot Sekthar in the right knee joint. The crack of the plasma bolt echoed through the dome. Sekthar's leg armor held. but the force of the impact made him stumble. Confusion rippled through his mind. That wasn't how hunts worked. Prey ran. Champions close to melee range. That was the way. Jae-sung shot him again, same knee. The armor cracked. Sekthar roared and charged faster, trying to close the distance before the human could fire again. Jae-sung shot him in the other knee. This time Sekthar went down. The great champion crashed to the Luna dust, his legs unable to support his weight. Pain and confusion warred in his mind. This wasn't a duel. This wasn't a hunt. This was an execution. On the Velkari ship, Tekva watched in horror. Around him, his crew sat in stunned silence. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Where was the honor? Where was the glory of combat? "He's cheating," the tactical officer snarled. "This isn't proper combat." But Tekva was beginning to understand. To humans, there was no such thing as proper combat. There was only winning and dying. And they'd spent 10,000 years getting very good at winning. In the dome, Jae-sung walked toward the fallen Sekthar. His rifle never wavered. The great champion tried to rise, but his legs wouldn't support him. He reached for his ritual blades, ready to die with honor. Jae-sung shot him twice more. Center mass, clinical, precise, no mercy. Sekthar fell and didn't move again. Then the Luna colony came alive. Lights blazed to life across the facility. Hidden panels slid open. Weapons platforms rose from the dust. The Dauntless and 12 other warships decloaked around the Velkari fleet. Lieutenant Heejin's voice broadcast across all frequencies. "Commander Tekva, your champion is defeated. By your own rules, this system belongs to humanity now, but we have new terms." On his ship, Tekva could only stare as Earth's military might revealed itself. They'd been hiding, waiting, planning. It wasn't a duel at all. It was a trap. And the Velkari had walked right into it. Commander Tekva's world was collapsing around him. The viewscreens showed 13 human warships, all with weapons locked onto his hunting vessel. The Luna surface bristled with defense platforms, and in the dome below, his greatest champion lay defeated, not in glorious combat, but through systematic, ruthless efficiency. "Sir, they're hailing us," his communications officer said, voice trembling. "Put it through," Tekva ordered. His mandibles clicked nervously. Admiral Dong-hyun appeared on screen. The old human's face was stern. Behind him, Tekva could see a military command center. Dozens of humans working at stations. This wasn't a ship. This was a war room. "Commander Tekva," the admiral said, "let me be very clear about your situation. You challenged humanity to single combat. We accepted. Our champion defeated yours. By your own traditions, you've lost." "That wasn't combat," Tekva's tactical officer snarled. "That was murder. Dishonorable, against the sacred ways." Captain Jae-sung stepped into view, still wearing his combat armor. Sekthar's blood stained the plating. "Your sacred ways, not ours. You came to our system. You challenged us to fight. You just didn't like how we fight." "You used weapons," Tekva said, trying to understand. "Long-range weapons. You didn't close for honorable melee. Why would we?" Jae-sung asked. His voice was calm. "Matter of fact, your champion was bigger, stronger, had natural armor and venom. In close combat, I'd lose, so I didn't fight close combat. I fought smart." Dr. Sujin appeared beside the captain. "Commander, I've studied your species. You're apex predators. You evolved with natural weapons, claws, fangs, armor. You never needed tools because you were already perfect hunters." "Yes," Tekva said, not understanding where this was going. "Humans are different," Sujin continued. "We're weak, slow, we have no natural weapons. No armor, no venom. By every measure, we should be prey animals. Do you know why we're not?" Tekva said nothing. "Because we don't fight fair. Because we make weapons. Because we work together and we never ever give up." Sujin pulled up images on the screen. Human history. "This is a mammoth. 10,000 pounds of muscle and rage. Humans hunted them to extinction with pointed sticks. This is a wolf, built to kill. Humans turned them into pets. This is fire. It kills everything. Humans learned to carry it in their hands." More images flooded the screen. Swords, guns, tanks, fighter jets. Nuclear weapons, each one deadlier than the last. "We're not warriors," Sujin said quietly. "We're survivors, and we're very good at it." Lieutenant Hyojin took over the briefing. Her tactical display showed 17 star systems. "These are the civilizations you've conquered. I've studied them all. You want to know what they had in common?" The Velkari crew watched, transfixed. They all fought by your rules. They sent champions. They engaged in honorable single combat. They respected your traditions even while dying. Heejin's expression hardened. Humans don't do that. When someone threatens our home, we don't send one champion. We send everyone. The display changed. Earth appeared, rotating slowly. Then layers peeled away, showing its defenses. Orbital weapons. Ground batteries. Thousands of military vessels. Millions of soldiers. You thought we were primitive, Heejin continued. You saw we barely left our world and assumed we were weak. But we didn't leave our world because we were fighting each other. For 10,000 years, humans have practiced war on each other. We've gotten very good at it. Ensign Taeyang brought up weapons specifications. This is a standard infantry rifle. It can punch through your armor at 500 meters. This is a tank, one tank. We have 60,000 of them. This is a bomber.
It can level a city.
We have 2,000. And these, he paused, these are nuclear weapons. Each one can destroy everything within 50 kilometers. We have 7,000. The silence on the Velkari ship was absolute. You're insane, Tekva's second officer whispered. You destroy yourselves. We almost did, Admiral Donghyun admitted. Several times. We built weapons that could extinct our entire species. Then we pointed them at each other, and we came very, very close to using them. Why? Tekva asked.
Why would any species do this?
Because humans don't just fight to win, Jae-sung said. We fight to ensure the threat never comes back. When we go to war, we don't stop at victory. We stop at total defeat of the enemy. Dr. Soo-jin pulled up more historical footage. Trench warfare, carpet bombing, drone strikes, chemical weapons. Your species hunts for glory, for honor, for tradition. Humans fight for survival, and when our survival is threatened, there are no rules, no honor, no limits. The Velkari way is sacred, Tekva said, but his voice wavered. For 5,000 years we have hunted across the stars. We follow the ancient paths. We honor the old ways. And that's why you're about to lose your first war, Admiral Donghyun said bluntly. You've been hunting for 5,000 years. We've been fighting wars for 10,000. You're amateurs compared to us. Hyejin brought up a tactical analysis. Your ship is powerful. In single combat against one of ours, you'd win, but you're surrounded by 13 warships. Our weapons are locked on. We can destroy you in approximately 40 seconds. You can maybe destroy 3 of our ships before you die. That's a bad trade. You wouldn't dare, the tactical officer said. This is sacred space, an arena. To fire weapons here would violate the duel. We already violated your duel, Jae-sung said. We shot your champion instead of fighting him with honor. You think we care about sacred space? You threatened our world, our families, our children. The only thing we care about is making sure you never do that again. Tekva looked at his crew, young hunters eager for glory. They expected to die in combat someday. It was the highest honor. But this wasn't combat. This was extermination. The humans weren't offering glorious death. They were offering total annihilation. What do you want? Tekva asked quietly. It's simple, Admiral Donghyun said. You leave. You never come back. You tell every species in the galaxy that humanity is off limits. And you live. If we refuse, then we kill you. All of you, right here, right now. The Admiral leaned forward, and then we track your species back to your homeworld. We study you. We learn about you, and then we make sure you never threaten anyone again. You'd commit genocide? Tekva asked, horrified. If necessary, Donghyun said. His voice was heavy with regret but firm with conviction. We don't want to. We'd hate ourselves for it. But if the choice is between your species and ours, we choose ours. Every single time Dr. Soo-jin spoke again, her voice softer. Commander, I've studied your culture. You value honor, bravery, the glory of the hunt. Those are beautiful traditions. But they're from a species that never faced a real threat. You've always been the apex predator. And now? Tekva asked. Now you've met something worse than a predator, Soo-jin said. You've met prey that learned to fight back. Prey that got so good at fighting back that it killed all its natural predators. Then it turned that violence into science. We studied killing the way you study hunting. We made it efficient, industrial, absolute. The view screen split, showing human military operations, coordinated strikes, supply lines, manufacturing plants churning out weapons. You hunt in packs of dozens, Hyejin explained. We fight in armies of millions. You have ritual blades passed down through generations. We manufacture 10,000 rifles a day. You train warriors from birth. We train entire populations. This is our factory output, Tae Yang added, showing production statistics. In the time since you arrived, we've built 30 new warships. In 1 month, we can build 300. In 1 year, we can build enough to darken the sky above your homeworld. You're bluffing, Tekva's tactical officer said. No species can mobilize that fast. We're not at war, Admiral Dong-hyun said quietly. This is peacetime production. If we actually mobilize for war, these numbers would triple. We've done it before. Many times, Jae-sung pulled up historical data. World War II, 1939 to 1945. Humanity split into factions and fought each other. In 6 years, we produced 300,000 aircraft, 100,000 tanks, 50,000 ships, and killed 85 million of our own species. That was with primitive technology. Imagine what we could do now. The Valkyrie crew stared in disbelief. The numbers were impossible, insane. What species fought like this? You're monsters, Tekva said quietly. Yes, Jae-sung agreed. We are. But we're the monsters that other monsters learned to fear. You came here thinking we were prey. You were wrong. We're not prey. We're not predators. We're something worse. What are you? Tekva asked. Dr. Sujin smiled sadly. We're the species that survived by being meaner, more ruthless, and more determined than anything else on our world. We're the species that looked at nuclear weapons and said, not enough, make bigger ones. We're the species that practices war like you practice art. And now you know, Admiral Dong-hyun said. So here's your choice, Commander. You can die here with honor, following your traditions. You'll be dead, but you'll die correctly. Or you can live. You can take this knowledge back to your people. You can warn the galaxy that humans aren't prey. That attacking us isn't a hunt, it's suicide. Tekva looked at his crew, young faces, eager hunters who wanted glory. They'd get death instead, stupid, pointless death against an enemy they didn't understand. We Valkyrie don't retreat, his tactical officer said. We fight to the last. It's our way. The Valkyrie ship hung in space, surrounded by human warships. Inside, Commander Tekva stood frozen between two impossible choices. Fight and die with honor, or retreat and live with shame. Show me everything, he said finally. All your records. All your history. I want to understand what we've encountered. Admiral Dong-hyun nodded slowly. Lieutenant Hae-jin, compile a historical briefing. No propaganda. Just facts. The commander deserves to know what he's facing. What followed was the most horrifying education in the galaxy. Dr. Sujin started with prehistory. Humans evolved in Africa 200,000 years ago. We were weak, slow. Our teeth couldn't pierce hide. Our claws couldn't tear flesh. We should have died out. The screen showed early humans, small and vulnerable, but we had something else. We had brains that could plan, hands that could craft tools, and voices that could coordinate. We hunted animals 50 times our size by working together. We threw rocks. We set traps. We ran prey to exhaustion over days. Persistence hunting, Tekva said. He'd read about this. It seemed primitive but effective. Yes, we weren't fast, but we could run forever. We'd chase an animal for 8 hours, 10 hours until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then we'd kill it with stones. Sujin paused. That's important. We learned early that we didn't need to be stronger. We just needed to outlast. The presentation continued. Human civilization rising, agriculture, cities, and with cities came war. This is the Mesopotamian region 3000 BCE, Hae-jin explained. Early human cities. And here's what they did. The screen showed armies, thousands of soldiers marching in formation, organized warfare. Not hunting. Not raiding. Systematic conflict with strategies, supply lines, and tactics. Tekva watched in fascination and horror. These weren't warriors fighting for glory. These were machines. Human machines designed to kill other humans efficiently. Bronze weapons, Hae-jin continued. Then iron, then steel. Every generation, humans got better at killing. Not because we needed to hunt. Because we needed to kill each other. The Valkyrie crew watched in silence as human history unfolded. The Roman Empire, organizing legions that conquered continents. The Mongols sweeping across Asia with coordinated cavalry. Medieval knights fighting wars that lasted decades. Notice something? Dr. Sujin asked. Every civilization, every culture, every corner of Earth developed warfare independently. The Valkyrie have one tradition of honorable combat. Humans have thousands of different fighting styles, because we never stopped fighting each other long enough to develop one way. Then came the modern era, and everything got worse. World War I, Admiral Dong Hyun said heavily. 1914 to 1918, 30 nations involved. 20 million dead. We invented machine guns, poison gas, tanks, and aircraft carriers. We learned to kill at industrial scale. The footage showed trenches, miles of mud and wire and death. Human soldiers going over the top, knowing they'd probably die. Doing it anyway. The Battle of the Somme, one day. 20,000 British soldiers dead. We kept fighting for 4 more months. Tekva's second officer looked sick. For what? What could be worth that many deaths? Territory, Dong Hyun said simply. Strategy. National pride. We didn't even hate each other. Not really. We just fought because that's what nations did. And then it got worse, Jae Sung added. 20 years later, World War II. 60 nations involved. 85 million dead. We invented jet aircraft, ballistic missiles, and nuclear weapons. We bombed entire cities into dust. We developed systematic genocide as industrial process. The images kept coming. Factories producing bullets by the million. Assembly lines building tanks. Entire economies mobilized for war. The United States built 300,000 aircraft in 4 years, Ensign Taeyang explained. That's 200 aircraft per day. Every day. For 4 years. Impossible, Tekva breathed. We have the records, the factories, the production schedules, every bolt and rivet accounted for. Taeyang pulled up manufacturing data. Humans don't fight wars with honor. We fight wars with logistics, with factories, with math. We turn killing into a supply chain problem and optimize it. Dr. Sujin brought up psychological profiles. Here's something else the Velkari don't understand. You fight because it's glorious. Humans fight because we're terrified. We've spent 10,000 years terrified of other humans, terrified of being conquered, enslaved, killed. That fear drives everything. Fear makes you weak, the Velkari tactical officer said. Fear makes us careful, Sujin corrected. It makes us plan, prepare, build redundancies. We never trust that we're safe. We always assume the worst. That's why we have so many weapons. That's why we build so many ships. Because somewhere in our species' memory, we remember what it was like to be prey. The presentation moved to the nuclear age. This is where it gets interesting, Hyojin said. 1945. Humans split the atom and immediately weaponized it. Within 20 years, we'd built enough nuclear weapons to destroy our civilization 8 times over. The screens showed missile silos, submarines carrying world-ending payloads, bombers on constant alert. At the peak of the Cold War, humans had 60,000 nuclear warheads. All of them pointed at other humans. We came within minutes of launching them, multiple times, but you didn't, Tekva said. Why not? Because we got scared, Admiral Dong Hyun admitted. We ran simulations. War games. We calculated what would happen if we actually used these weapons. The answer was extinction, total, absolute, so we didn't. We chose not to. That's discipline, Tekva said, surprised. Restraint. Those are warrior virtues. It's survival instinct, Dong Hyun corrected. We didn't stop because it was wrong. We stopped because we'd lose too. Mutually assured destruction. If you kill me, I kill you, everyone dies. So we built weapons we couldn't use. Jae Sung stepped forward. That's what makes humans dangerous, Commander. Not that we're violent. Violence is common in the galaxy. It's that we're violent and smart. We understand consequences. We can calculate costs. We know that if we start a real war with you, millions die. Maybe billions. It would be terrible, he paused. And we'd do it anyway if we had to. Because the alternative is slavery or extinction. Given that choice, we'll take mutual destruction every time. The briefing continued. Recent human history. The space race born from military competition. The development of orbital weapons. The colonization of Mars and Europa, driven partly by fear that Earth might become uninhabitable. Notice something? Dr. Sujin asked. Humans never relax. We're always preparing for the next threat, the next war, the next disaster. We've been to our moon. We've sent probes beyond our solar system. Not because we love exploration, because we want to survive. We're looking for places to run to if Earth dies. Paranoid, the Velkari tactical officer muttered. Cautious, Sujin corrected. And still alive. How many species has your hunting destroyed? 17. All of them trusting. All of them honorable. All of them dead or enslaved. Humans don't trust. We verify, we prepare. We assume the worst and plan accordingly. Tekva was beginning to understand. The Velkari were predators, strong, confident, honorable. They never worried because they'd never needed to. They were apex hunters. Humans were prey that became predators. They remembered being weak. They remembered being scared. And they built their entire civilization around making sure they never felt that way again. "Show me your military now," Tekva demanded. "Your real capabilities, not your warships, everything." Admiral Donghyun looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Show him." The display changed. Earth appeared, but now layers of defense became visible. Orbital platforms, thousands of them, ground-based lasers, missile batteries on every continent. This is homeland defense. If you somehow got past our fleet, you'd face this. 3,000 major weapons installations, 30,000 minor ones. Every city is a fortress, then the numbers. Active military personnel, 50 million. Reserve forces, 200 million. In total war mobilization, we can field 500 million soldiers within 6 months. We have manufacturing capacity to equip them all. Our fleet, Hyejin continued, currently consists of 300 ships of line, cruisers, destroyers, carriers. We have 800 more under construction. Completion time 18 months. We're building them because we're paranoid, because we assume something out here wants to kill us. You were right to assume, Tekva said quietly. Yes, we were. Jae-sung pulled up ship specifications. Each of these ships carries enough firepower to level a city. Each one is crewed by humans who've trained their entire lives for war. Not for honor, not for glory, for survival. Dr. Sujin brought up the final piece of information. And here's the thing you really need to understand, Commander. Everything I've shown you, all these weapons, this military, this is humans at peace. We're not at war. We haven't mobilized. This is our standing force. If we actually went to war, Admiral Donghyun said quietly, if we faced an existential threat, everything would change. Our entire economy would shift to military production. Every factory would build weapons. Every citizen would contribute to the war effort. We've done it before. We can do it again. In World War II, American women built bombers in factories while men fought overseas. Children collected scrap metal to recycle into bullets. Elderly people grew food so farmers could join the army. Every human contributed. The decision hung in the air like a blade. Commander Tekva stood on the bridge of his hunting ship, surrounded by his crew. Young warriors bred and trained for glorious combat. They looked at him with confusion and barely concealed anger. "We cannot retreat," his tactical officer said, mandibles clicking with agitation. 5,000 years of tradition. "We are Velkari. We do not back down from prey." "They're not prey," Tekva said quietly. He looked at the view screens, at the 13 human warships surrounding them. They never were. We made a mistake. A fatal mistake. And if we don't correct it now, our species dies. "Let them try," another officer snarled. "We'll fight. We'll make them pay for every meter of space. We'll die with honor. And then what?" Tekva turned to face his crew. "We die here, all of us. Glorious deaths, yes. But then the humans track our fleet back to our homeworld. They learn about us. They study us. And then, at their leisure, they exterminate our species." "They wouldn't dare," the tactical officer insisted. "They would," Tekva said. "I've seen their history. They've done it before, to themselves. To their own kind. Over and over, they've fought wars of extermination. And they won't hesitate to do it to us if they think we're a threat." He pulled up the human briefing again. "World wars, nuclear weapons, industrial genocide. Look at this. Really look. This isn't a species that values honor. This is a species that values survival above everything. They'll kill their own children if it means their grandchildren survive." The bridge fell silent. The crew stared at images of human warfare. The scale of it, the ruthlessness, the sheer mathematical efficiency of human killing. "We challenged them to a hunt," Tekva continued. "But humans don't hunt. They wage war, and they're very, very good at it. Better than any species in the galaxy, because they've practiced on each other for 10,000 years. On the Luna surface, Captain Jae-sung watched the Velkari ship through his helmet display. He stood next to Sekthar's body. The great champion hadn't moved since the fight ended. Dead or unconscious, it didn't matter. The duel was over. "Captain," Lieutenant Hyejin's voice came through the comm. "The Velkari are arguing among themselves. Internal communications are heated. I think they're debating whether to fight or run. How long until they decide? Jae-sung asked. Unknown. Could be minutes. Could be hours. They've never backed down from a challenge before. This is breaking their cultural programming. Dr. Sujin joined the comm channel. Captain, if they choose to fight, we'll have to destroy them. All of them. We can't let them report back that humans can be defeated. I know, Jae-sung said heavily. He looked down at Sekthar. The Velkari had fought bravely, following his traditions to the end. It seemed wasteful to kill more of them, but if they forced humanity's hand, there would be no choice. Ensign Taeyang spoke up. Weapon systems ready, Captain. All ships reporting full combat readiness. Awaiting your orders. Hold position, Jae-sung ordered. Let them talk. Let them think. We've shown them what we are. Now let's see if they're smart enough to walk away. On the Velkari ship, Tekva made his choice. Prepare to withdraw. Commander, no. 3 officers spoke at once. The shame, the dishonor, will be the first Velkari in 5,000 years to retreat from prey. We're not retreating from prey, Tekva said firmly. We're retreating from a superior force. There's a difference. The Velkari have always been smart hunters. We track our targets. We learn their patterns. We strike when conditions favor us. That's not cowardice. That's wisdom, he pointed at the tactical display. These humans have us surrounded. They have better weapons, better numbers, better tactics. Striking now would be suicide. Not glorious death, just stupid death. And it would doom our species. The tactical officer's mandibles worked silently. Finally, he spoke. What will we tell the pack? The elders? The cubs who train for glory? We tell them the truth, Tekva said. We found a species that's more dangerous than us. A species that survived 10,000 years of war against itself. A species that builds weapons they can't use and restrains themselves purely through will. We tell them we survived by being smart. He moved to the communication station. Open a channel to the human fleet. Admiral Dong-hyun appeared on screen. His expression was neutral, waiting. Admiral, Tekva began. I am Commander Tekva of the Velkari hunting fleet. I am authorized to negotiate terms. Go ahead, Dong-hyun said. Tekva took a breath. This next part would define his species' future. The Velkari acknowledged defeat. Not in the duel. Your champion won that fairly by your rules. But in the larger challenge, we came here thinking we were apex predators hunting prey. We were wrong. Yes, you were, the Admiral agreed. We will withdraw from your system. We will never return. And we will report to the Galactic Council that humanity is a protected species. No Velkari will hunt in your territory. Tekva paused. But I ask one thing in return. What's that? Let us keep our honor. Tell the galaxy that we won the duel, but chose to grant humanity their freedom. Tell them we were impressed by your spirit and decided you deserved to live. Tell them anything except the truth. Admiral Dong-hyun studied him for a long moment. Why should we lie for you? Because the truth is dangerous, Tekva said carefully. If the galaxy knows that humans defeated the Velkari, other species will challenge you. Ambitious races looking to prove they're stronger than us. Young species trying to make names for themselves. You'll face constant challenges. Let them come, Captain Jae-sung said, stepping into view. We'll defeat them too. You will, Tekva agreed. But at what cost? How many battles can you fight before you're exhausted? How many species will you have to exterminate before the galaxy fears you? Better to let them fear the Velkari and leave you alone. Dr. Sujin appeared on screen. He has a point, Admiral. If we're known as the species that defeated the legendary Velkari, we become a target. Every warrior race in the galaxy will want to test themselves against us. And we'll kill them all, Ensign Taeyang said simply. That's what we do. But we don't want to, Sujin said quietly. Commander Tekva is offering us peace. A way to avoid endless conflict. Maybe we should take it. The Admiral considered this. He looked tired suddenly. Old. He'd spent his whole life preparing for wars he hoped would never come. Now he had a chance to prevent dozens of them. Very well, he said finally. The official record will show that the Velkari won the duel, but granted humanity their freedom out of respect for our courage. You'll report that we fought valiantly and earned your admiration. In return, you leave and never come back. Agreed, Tekva said. Relief flooded through him. But understand this, the Admiral continued, his voice hard. We're letting you go because you're smart enough to back down. Because you recognize the threat and chose survival over glory. That's wisdom. But if you ever return, If any Valkyrie ever threatens human space again, we will not be merciful. We will hunt your species to extinction. Are we clear?
Crystal clear, Tekva said.
You'll never see Valkyrie in human space again. You have my word as a commander. Lieutenant Hyejin worked her console. Stand down from combat alert. All ships maintain defensive positions but do not fire unless fired upon. The tension bled out of the situation slowly. Human warships powered down weapons but kept their targeting locks. The Valkyrie ship began preparations to withdraw. Commander, Admiral Dong-hyun said, one more thing. What will you tell the Galactic Council about humanity? Tekva thought carefully. I'll tell them you're a protected species under Valkyrie authority, that you showed great courage and earned your freedom. I'll tell them you're dangerous but honorable. That should keep most species away. And the truth? What's the truth you'll tell your people? The truth? Tekva looked at the human faces on his screen. Young and old, male and female, all of them calm, professional, ready to kill if necessary but hoping they wouldn't have to. The truth is that we found a species that survived by being meaner, smarter, and more ruthless than anything else in their corner of the galaxy. We found prey that became predators and then became something worse. We found humans, he paused, and we were wise enough to back away before they showed us what they really are. The channel closed. The Valkyrie ship began to move slowly at first, then faster. The human fleet tracked it but didn't interfere. They watched as the hunting vessel that had terrorized 17 civilizations retreated from Earth, defeated not in combat but in understanding. On the Luna surface, Captain Jae-sung stood over Sekthar's body. Medical teams were moving in. The champion was alive, barely. His wounds were serious but not fatal. He'd lived to see his defeat. What do we do with him? Hyejin asked. We heal him, Jae-sung said. We fix his wounds. We send him back to his people, and we make sure he understands that humans are not his enemy. We're just not his prey either. Back on Earth, news of the encounter spread quickly. Humanity had faced its first real challenge from the galaxy beyond. A species of apex predators had come to hunt them, and humans had won without firing a shot in space. But those who saw the classified reports understood the truth. They'd won because they scared the predators away. They'd shown the Valkyrie what humans really were. Not warriors, not hunters, survivors who do absolutely anything to keep surviving.